Nick Fuentes is lashing out at Stephen Miller. Nick Fuentes has slammed Stephen Miller. And it's a great day for people who hate Stephen Little B. Miller, which is everyone currently. It's not often we can all agree on one target that we collectively decide it's time to rip to shreds. And we were so close there for 1 second with the Schmepstein files and Schmepstein perpetrators, but that's been blown over. And then Erica Kirk sometimes unifies us, but nothing like what we're seeing right now with the sudden and most deserving pile-on of Stephen Little Bitch Miller. Nobody likes Stephen Little Bitch Miller, not even the people who should. The most hated little tiny man in Washington just became the center of a civil war no one saw coming. So even his allies are breaking ranks. So what did Stephen Little Bitch Miller do this time to trigger a full spectrum backlash? And why is the entirety of the internet suddenly turning on Stephen Miller from both sides? Something broke inside politics this week, and it's clearly collapsing all around one name. The name attached to family separation, mass detention, children in cages, to state-sanctioned executions. Stephen Miller has never been elected to anything, not even student council at Santa Monica High School. But boy, did he try. His classmates said, hell no. And this whole situation, it's deeper than it looks. It's not a normal political feud. It's almost like everyone got the same update at the same time. So if you're new here, give me like 10 minutes because I'm going to save the best for last. And you're going to want to be sitting down for this one. And real quick, I'm Loren Piretra. I'm going to ask you to take a moment to please make sure you're subscribed. Willa Piretra and we run this entire operation solo, independent, network free every single day out of pure principle to make sure that we always maintain a lead over Katie Miller. And if you're new here, Katie Miller is the wife of Stephen Little Bitch Miller. She married that pale white nationalist on purpose, and we are running circles around her. But we can't continue to do this without your support. So consider every sub, every follow, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple, etc. Every action, every hype, every comment, 6 words or more, every 5-star rating, every little thing you do, consider that an F you to Katie and Stephen Little Bitch Miller. And it also protects you from that guy scurrying across your ceiling. So who is Stephen Miller, if you're new? He has never been elected to anything, not once, but he's somehow still the architect of these evil family separation, mass detention policies. And he was the one championing these state-sanctioned executions. And he designed all of this from a job that, again, nobody voted to give him. There are thousands of children who have passed through detention facilities under the policies he built. And right now, those children are in facilities currently. And we don't even have the exact numbers publicly confirmed because the administration prefers it that way. He's never had to experience the horror of his policies, not even for a second. He has, however, eaten a lot of mayonnaise, and we're going to get there. The left has always known who Stephen Miller is. And what's new is that his own side is now catching up. So acting ICE director Todd Lyons was reportedly hospitalized twice after dealing with Miller's meltdowns on his administrative daily required 10 a.m. calls. He's one of those. Got to have a daily check-in. Got to make sure Stephen Miller can micromanage everyone. He screams at federal officers until they require medical attention and need to be hospitalized. That's his leadership style. And then it's like he thinks he's the boss and the devil wears Prada. And then there's Thomas Massie. Massie is a Republican congressman from Kentucky. We know the outcome here. He was very libertarian leaning. He was a hawk on all of the deficits, and he read the bills before voting on them. He was an outspoken critic against the Schmepstein files and integral in the demand to have those files released, which they were still waiting on, millions of them. But Miller accused him of publicly voting to gut ICE and Border Patrol funding, which he did, and he called him a traitor to border security.
When the time came to vote for President Trump's signature border security and immigration enforcement bill, the bill to provide record funding for ICE and Border Patrol and mass deportation, Tom Massie voted no. Tom Massie voted to kill the bill.
You could be a Republican, sure, but supporting these evil, awful policies is a whole nother thing. HR 7147 was a routine government funding bill, the kind of vote that keeps federal agencies operating. Massie was the only Republican who voted no. His reason had nothing to do with the border. The bill included funding for CISA, the federal cybersecurity agency. Massie believes that CISA has been quietly pressuring social media platforms to remove posts and accounts that the government finds inconvenient. So whether you agree with him or not, that's a First Amendment argument with, it seems like, a very well documented paper trail. You know what's unhinged? The way Medicare works. Like, super wild. Okay, look, I spent 15 years inside marketing machines, and I know the difference between a system built to help you and one built to confuse you. Medicare is the second one. There are thousands of plans, so much conflicting information, and then you get the never-ending spam calls. That's why you need to know about Chapter. Chapter is the only Medicare advisor that compares every plan nationwide. The doctors you like, the medications you take, your priorities. They use it all to find a plan that actually fits your life. And if you've already found the right plan, they'll just tell you. And if not, they'll help you switch. Just last year alone, seniors who found new plans with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 on healthcare costs. If you're turning 65 or already on Medicare, call Chapter at 424-292-6476. It's free. It takes under 20 minutes. Seriously, just do it. There is an LP TV hotline. That's 424-292-6476.
He voted against Trump. He voted against the American people. He voted against you.
Miller stripped out all the context and told the internet that Massie was trying to dismantle border security altogether, which is false. Community notes came after Stephen Miller. Again, underneath all of Stephen Miller's posts, where everyone could see, he got community noted. And this wasn't a one-time slip-up, you guys. Stephen Miller also got community noted for completely misrepresenting the state-sanctioned in Minneapolis, where Stephen Miller was pushing his own Stephen Miller little version that fits his little immigration narrative that didn't match what actually happened. He got community noted there for claiming also that the reconciliation bill was a sweeping victory for Trump's original agenda when the bill had been significantly watered down. So pattern's pretty consistent here. If Stephen Miller's posted online, there's likely going to be a community note from his own boys. Stephen Miller, he always picks the wrong target. He gets the facts wrong. He gets corrected in public. And he pulls Trump into a feud with members of his own caucus that didn't even need to happen. So the vibes are never good over wherever Stephen Miller is. But this is just the tip of the iceberg because something was happening that was about to make things significantly worse because somebody else was watching, somebody who has spent years in the same political universe as Stephen Little Bitch Miller, somebody who shares his contempt for immigrants and his appetite for making everyone's lives miserable. So we're going to talk about that person. But first, Stephen Miller's wife had something to say. So John Oliver dedicated a segment of Last Week Tonight to a supercut of Katie Miller, who, again, married this man on purpose. And on her own podcast with her own microphone, she was casually dismantling her husband's negative aura one clip at a time. She called him Bridezilla. She told JD Vance on a recording that mayonnaise is all her husband eats. She also told Mehmet Oz that one of her pregnancies was harder than the others because the baby had, in her medical estimation, too much Stephen Little Bitch Miller in it. Oz noted that genetically this is not how reproduction works, but she held strong anyway. Oliver joined us in calling Stephen Little Bitch Miller a loser. Then he looked into the camera and asked white supremacy as a movement, sincerely, whether this was really the champion they had chosen. Now, this is where it really all comes to a head.
This has to be the breaking point. This is the breaking point for the GOP coalition. You buried the Epstein files. There is no border wall. You didn't deliver on mass deportations. You cut corporate tax rates for the rich by cutting Medicaid again. No infrastructure bill, no middle class tax cuts. You got to refund the tariffs. And now we're in a regime change war with Iran. That's the breaking point. I'm out. I'm done. I am off the Trump train. I am not voting in 26. If Rubio or Vance are on the ticket in any form in 28, I'm voting for a Democrat.
Nick Fuentes has declared himself personally and publicly committed to the takedown of Stephen Little Bitch Miller. He has also praised Hitler on stream. He has hosted Holocaust denial content and called it humor. And he leads a movement of young men called Groypers, organized around explicit white Christian nationalism, the kind that doesn't bother with dog whistles anymore. He was banned from most major platforms and then found his way back to X. And in 2022, had dinner with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, which caused a brief scandal, and nothing really structurally changed for either of them. So we share nothing with Nick Fuentes, not one single value or worldview, not one opinion about anything. However, we can agree that we both hate Stephen Miller. So Stephen Miller and Nick Fuentes are kind of not too different in ideological worldviews. They are products of the same political movement. They're both convinced that immigration is an existential civilization threat. And they're both really comfortable saying that anything but being a rich white man should disqualify you from rights and living a dignified life. So they're both also operating in this world where they just get off to cruelty. The difference is that Miller works inside the system and Fuentes thinks the system is too soft. And Fuentes thinks Miller is a sellout. So what you have now is essentially two of the worst people in this conversation actively trying to destroy each other. And the rest of us are just standing around being like, what's going on here? Fuentes has gone off the deep end repeatedly. And this kind of appears to be something deeper. We don't want either of them to win, but we do really enjoy watching them self-destruct. Again, great week for people who hate Stephen Miller. We have John Oliver piling on, Nick Fuentes going off. We're going to keep digging in here. Again, if you're new and you found this video comforting in a very weird time and you're maybe not sure how you got here, we'd love it if you stay and stick around, hit subscribe, stick with us. We'll be back with more.